We've moved on from that. Now students at art college are protesting because a show at 3 is being turned down. It's a complete reversal, and the art college itself had refused to show photography at that time. So I think that's a very interesting issue.
Okay, so I propose that Jorge, or I don't know, is there any questions still? Okay, so we'll take 1, 2, 3 more questions, and then Jorge will make a conclusion, because then we want to get to Ito's work that we shouldn't miss. Okay, please, Mia start, and then...
Yeah, please.
এই এক্সিবিশনের এই ছবিগুলোর যেই ভয়াবহতাটা আছে আমরা যেটা বুঝতে পারি এই শহরে থাকবার কারণে এই ছবিগুলো দিয়ে কি মনে হয় যে এই ভয়াবহতাটা হচ্ছে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করে মানে আমার জানা অ্যাজ এ আর্টিস্ট ওর কাছ থেকে জানতে চাই কারণ হচ্ছে যে আমার কাছে মনে হয়েছিল যে এইটা অনেক বেশি আর্ট পিস দেন অনেক বেশি আমি ক্রস ফায়ার বলছি কিন্তু অনেক বেশি আর্ট পিস দেন আমি
Let me just translate. The fear and the tension and the terror that these images evoke for us, do it because we know what the background is? Is it too arty for an audience that does not understand the context? That's the question. I don't know the answer to that, but I will start by saying that I think every exhibition needs to be site-specific. The prints themselves do not constitute an exhibition. They are a part of an exhibition. And if I were to do it somewhere else, I would work very carefully for that particular space and produce something that I felt would work for that space and for that audience. And it might be different. The choice of the images might be different. The way it was presented might be different. Whether it works or not is an experiment, I wouldn't know. But certainly it would be approached with that point of view.
You stated that you personally chose ambiguous photographs or a style of photography. So is that why you chose such an unambiguous, stimulating name such as Crossfire to ensure that it wasn't misunderstood what you were moving towards with your photography?
It wasn't simply that, it was also a gimmick. Crossfire is one word that does not need any translation to a Bangladeshi audience. If I had some ambiguous title with an ambiguous set of statements, pictures, it would not attract this degree of attention. So there, where we might debate is whether the choice of red, I mean you might have talked about it, red for Crossfire. Okay, so the choice of red was something that was being debated, and whether it was too strong, whether it needed to be red.
We missed the gun too.
Yeah, okay.
It was just pointed out this morning.
Yeah, okay. The two things, the crossfire being the two layered thing. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
being like a gun.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that?
So
Yeah, everybody saw it.
now that was the one direct relationship there, which was
Yeah, but you have the
Thought to-
country
yeah.
colors that are red
Yeah.
and green.
no. Oh.
So, yeah, I think that works
But-
really well.
But that was part of the strategy.
Another short question is for after the gallery has been finished, are you planning on moving any of these images onto the internet for people who can't physically arrive to the things?
Currently it's on the Amnesty site, it's on the BBC site. The New York Times have done another blog.
The images are available.
Yeah, and
Do you have installation shots that you did?
no, that hasn't been done
That'd
yet.
be
That needs
great.
to
I
be
think
right now.
installation
Yeah,
shots and
absolutely.
maybe a tour the way you
Yeah,
did
yeah,
it. A guided tour of the exhibition.
Including saying these people do not exist, they're not here.
Perhaps because, as
That's
you
great.
pointed out, for non-Bangladeshi viewers, it might be important to include things like captions, or it doesn't have to be particularly obvious captions, but
The caption idea I'm not happy with, because I think it breaks up the concepts for which it's been developed, I think, for me.
I can understand that.
But setting the context is very important, and to that extent, what has happened is, certainly the New York Times, in both occasions, they've interviewed me to then set a context, textual context, which allows it to be interpreted.
So we have one last question.
It's an exhibition for an intellectual audience for Bachelor students. I was wondering what you make of that.
One problem with the way any exhibition of this sort takes place is the fact that a gallery space of that sort is already elitist. It excludes a whole lot of people. Yeah? But since it would be done in a gallery of that sort, it would have been done for a gallery audience, whoever comes to that gallery. There's no point in doing an exhibition for an audience that does not participate in the audience. I totally agree, as we have done, that a much wider audience needs to be created. But I think the mechanism for that would need to work at a different level. But I find that question problematic because it assumes that the average audience is not sufficiently intelligent, is not sufficiently savvy, and is not capable of understanding certain things. And it creates a sort of idea that we are the chosen ones who can understand these ideas and they cannot. And I find that assumption problematic.
I think crossfire is a very familiar word in our country, and it is not any problem for me, and I think for everybody. But I want to ask about the text. What you think about this? Is it possible to make the text in both language, in Bangla and English? Maybe that will be more communicative.
In fact, that for me is the biggest weakness of this whole thing, the fact that it was only in English. Not just that text, but also the Google Map. In fact, we tried with Google Map. Yeah, the book, I mean, all of this, it's in English, and I would say that that is the biggest criticism I would have of our process. We just couldn't manage it. It was a question of time. There were so many things that had to be done. I'm not putting it as an excuse. I do take that on as a very genuine deficiency of this. We tried it with the Google Map, and we were not effective, but we tried to get round it by allowing the comments to come on the blog where Bangla comments can be put in. But of course, even that creates a Bangla and an English and a hierarchy of sorts. It's a solution, a problem that has to be solved. We haven't found a solution yet.
Can I add in something? Because
your last question is
no, it's not a question. It's something to add in the thing you're talking about. In the place where we say you can write the name of the victim, actually somebody wrote that we missed a name and wrote a painting of that face and said you missed it in the crossfire list, his name is not there. So you know people are communicating. So there are way of communicating. It's written in Bangla, in fact.
With a drawing?
Yeah, with the drawing of the face. He died in 2006.
He went through the whole list looking for a name.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's not just that it's a name, it's his brother. It says it's the name of my brother is not in this list. He was killed in 2006 and the list is organised according to
And there are tears coming out of the face. So it's a very lovely thing.
Okay, Jorge, I give you...
The most important pieces of the exhibition is actually the poster. And the poster is out on the street, and it's I insisted when we had the workshop that photographers have to look at things that are happening in the world of photography everywhere. In the late 1980s, Oliverio Toscani, who was the image creator for Benetton, he decided that to publicize the Benetton United Colors of Benetton slogan, he would use images that came from everywhere in the news image world. So he had a very controversial campaign with images that had nothing to do with clothes making and had to do specifically with news items that were very uncomfortable for people at the time. Like for instance, a ship full of Albanians that was off the coast of Italy, and these people were actually jumping into the sea and trying to reach the coast of Italy to seek win refuge there. Or he had an image where you had a bird covered in oil as a result of leakage from an oil carrier vessel in the sea. And things like that. He even had a very controversial image of an AIDS victim attended by his parents, his family,